Hello, how are you dear subscribers? In today's video I will tell you about the beginning of a great empire, the Roman Empire. The history of Rome is the history of the city as an urban entity and the history of the states and institutions of which is cut in the capital or quarters over time. It can be divided into prehistory ancient Rome, medieval Rome, modern Rome, and contemporary, or in ancient Rome, pontifical Rome, and contemporary Italian Rome. The most fruitful period of the history of Rome, in political, economic, social, and cultural terms, was its development in antiquity. It was the height of a great imperial state on a seat of a nation established on 3 continents at its time of greatest development. The empire created by Rome reached 3.5 million square kilometers and some 70 million inhabitants, including citizens and non-citizens. Rome was and still is one of the most important cities in history. It has been called the Eternal City. Rome, along with Greece, has been the cultural mother of modern Western nationalities. The later history of Rome, be it in the Middle Ages and in successive times, presents a rather communal localist character and is almost always linked to the history of the pontificate, that or Italy, and that of peoples, kingdoms, and empires that tried. They did on occasion exercise dominion over the city. With almost 3,000 years of history, the city is a good example of the cyclical development that is an urban entity can have a geographic and demographic development to the limit of what is possible. The stagnation and decline until almost disappearing and a new development. Few cities have had such an evolution and at the same time played such an important role in the universal history. Either is a melting pot of civilization or headquarters of important artistic movement and institutions, both civil and religious. The persistence of this city and its population in the midst of so many historical vicissitudes constitutes to outstanding fact. The classical tradition expresses that the city was founded in 753 AC on the banks of the Tiber River by legendary character sons of Rhea Silvia and the good Mars. These 2 male children were abandoned on the banks of the Tiber River, where they were suckled by a she-wolf called Luperca, and then raised by some shepherds who took them as their own children. In the same place where they were suckled by the she-wolf, they founded a city. Romulus later killed his brother Remus over a dispute over the cost of entry to the city, which was then called Rome. What is really known is that Rome was gradually founded by the installation of Latin troops in the area of the traditional 7 hills through the creation of a small village on the peaks, which ended. Contemporary historiography considers the ancient Roman tradition of attributing the foundation to a single character such as Romulus to be erroneous. More historical is the figure of the Etruscan king who gave for Rome a true civic appearance thanks to his urban development work at the end of the 7th century AC, when the Latin nuclei that inhabited the hills of the Quirinal, Esquilino, and Celio merged with those of the Palatino. They fortified the inhabited area and thus began the first phase of ancient Rome towards the 8th century AC. The creation of the 4 regions into which the city was divided in historical times dates from this period. During a second phase, the perimeter of the city was extended by the Capitoline Hill and by a small valley that separated it from the Palatine. From the 6th century AC are the main construction Royal Palace, Forum, Cloaca Maxima, and Tullianum. Around 510 AC, the Temple of Jupiter Capitoline was founded and of the same time are the temples of Saturn, and others a period of great construction activity followed temples, basilicas, aqueducts, and consular roads. An extensive reorganization took place in the time of Augustus, which included the division of the city into 14 regions and the construction and reconstruction of temple monuments. The burning of the city in 68 attributed to Neron, although over Thor's date he made a large number of buildings disappear, rebuilt shortly after by the emperor himself. The work begun by Neron was continued by his successors, Vespasiano, the Colosseum, Titus, the mini-change, renovation of the temples of Vesta, Augustus, and Minerva, the Stadium, the Odeon, the Pantheon, and others. The work of this last emperor was continued by Trajanus, Forum and Baths, Hadriano, Helio, Bridge, temples of Marciana and Venus, Mausoleum, and others. Septimius Severus and Caracalla and Bath. Aurelian endowed Rome in the 3rd century with the great walls that bear his name. In the days of Maxentius, the Hieronymus Basilica was built, and of Constantine, his successor, the Arch, the Triumph, the Constantine Baths, and the Leonards are preserved. During the 3rd and 4th centuries, Rome remained in all its splendor until 410, when it was assaulted and sacked by Alaric. From this moment, its monumental decline began. Regarding the population figures, the city reached 300,000 inhabitants by the beginning of 3rd century AC. In the beginning of the 1st century BC. In the beginning of the century AD, it reached 500,000 inhabitants. The city would reach in its maximum demographic development in the middle of the Imperial era, to an estimated figure that oscillates between 1 million and 1.5 million population.